Alhamdulillah. So after seeing the video, let's welcome Haji Muhammad Noor Saeed up on stage from Jamia to tell us a little bit more about Jamia's Gyro initiative. Thank you, Haji. Assalamu alaikum.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wassalatu wassalamu ashrafil wa anbiya'il mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain amma ba'du. His Eminent Sheikh Professor Mustafa Ceric, former Grand Mufti of Bosnia, respected brother Muhammad Nasir, CEO of Simply Islam, Dr. Nawab, a very good friend, Dr. Nawab, President, Muslim Expatriate Network, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be with us all. On behalf of the President and the Executive Council members of Jamia Singapore, we wish to thank you for your kind presence at this significant religious lecture. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope that today's program would be beneficial to all of us so that we can put into practice whatever we learn from this session for the happiness and well-being of ourselves and our family. Respected ladies and gentlemen, with the objective of continuing with our concerted efforts in enhancing and adding value towards the community services, education programs, and our activities that we render, Jamia Singapore needs the continuous support of the community from all walks of life, that is, from people like your good self. Thus, we would like to once again thank the organizer of tonight's event, that is Simply Islam and Muslim Expatriate Network, for giving us this opportunity to appeal to all of you present tonight to generously donate to Jamia Singapore through Gyro by completing the donation forms to help us fulfill our noble objectives. For your kind information, today we are having a campaign to encourage more people to pledge their donation through Gyro. For those who wish to do so, at this event, you may wish to go to the counter at the back of this hall. Displayed on the screen, will be displaying on the screen to your left and right, the telephone numbers which prompt you to donate via Gyro. For those of you ladies and gentlemen who wish to pledge your donation, you may SMS your full name and the amount pledged, which is minimum $5, to the telephone number 96334630. I repeat, 96334630. Our staff from Jamia Gyro Department will contact you to follow up on this matter and do the necessary after this event. For those who pledge your donation tonight, there's some good news. Through Gyro, you'll receive an exclusive Jamia umbrella and wall clock free of charge, either or, right? The donation which you graciously give will certainly bring smiles and hope to those who are less privileged. As you can see from the video just now, these are the people that will be happy, and you will be helping to add meaning to their life if you come forward to donate through Gyro. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant you and your family with His tawfiq and hidayah and reward you with bountiful blessings for your kindness and graciousness. Let us pray that we will be considered among those of his servants who, as mentioned in Hadith Qudsi, be rewarded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the same manner as he is helping his fellow Muslim brothers and sisters. Thank you. Wassalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.
Shukran Jazila. Thank you very much, Haji Noor Mohammed Saad, for that very good introduction on Jamia and the Gyro initiative. Okay, we're going to just talk a little bit about the talk tonight, a little bit of preamble. This week, as we know, Egypt brokered a peace deal for a ceasefire in Gaza, and Hamas claims a victory, which is it's a pretty hollow word to say a victory, considering the statistics when we look at the fact that it's pretty uncomfortable. 2,139 Palestinians dead, 490 of them are children, 64 Israeli children, and 5 civilians also amongst the death toll. And not taking sides, but 2,139 Palestinians is quite a disproportionate amount compared to the Israeli side. Anyway, alhamdulillah, thank God there's a ceasefire, but it's very hard for anyone to really claim that this is a victory. The word conflict really, it means, two sides saying my rights are more than yours, a disagreement. And unless we really do something about the underlying issues, it's going to be very, very difficult to resolve. So the story, very similar to the one in Syria, and of course Bosnia-Herzegovina, where Professor Ceric has a vast amount of experience, is one of violence, death, and really mass destruction. So this is really what happens when as we say, hatred triumphs over love and peace, and when we don't challenge hate, which is our theme and our topic for tonight's speech. So in light of what's going on in the world, all the various wars, the conflicts, we really hope, inshallah, that the speaker will be able to inspire you as the attendees and make you conscious of the dangers of the ideology of hatred that we see spreading throughout these conflicts. Sheikh Prof Mustafa Ceric, he fears that people are becoming now very indifferent to the wars. We're very desensitized to what we see in the media. A lot of very gory images, and we see the suffering happening on a daily basis, and it just becomes something very normal. So his work is basically to set out to change that. Again, later, after just before the Q&A, there will be a collection. The collection boxes will be handed around, and this is going to be channeled to the Gaza Emergency Fund. So before we continue the speech, we'd just like to welcome the speaker a bit and give you a little bit of introduction to him, and tell you a bit about Sheikh Mustafa Ceric. He graduated from the famed Gazi Husrev Beg Madrasa in Sarajevo, in Bosnia, and he received a scholarship to the Al-Azhar University of Cairo in Egypt. Thereafter, he returned to his homeland in Yugoslavia, the former Yugoslavia, and he became an imam. And in 1981, he accepted the position of imam at the Islamic Cultural Center of Greater Chicago, the ICC, and that's in Northbrook, Illinois. So he lived in the US for several years, during which time he learned English and earned a PhD in Islamic Studies at the University of Chicago. And after his studies in 1987, he left the ICC and he returned to Yugoslavia, his homeland. And he became again an imam in the learning center in Zagreb. Since 1993, he's basically led the Islamic community of Bosnia and Herzegovina. And in his official capacity has served as the Grand Mufti from 1992 to 2012. So I suppose he's still the unofficial Mufti in that context. Sheikh Mustafa has received global acclaim for his work in strengthening democracy primarily, promoting world peace, and pursuing interfaith dialogue. He's listed actually 49th in the Muslim 500, that's the world's most influential Muslims. Mohammed Nasir of Simply Islam is also on that list, alhamdulillah. And hopefully some aspiring young people will also make it to that list from this audience tonight. Just to finish up a bit, it's a slightly lengthy CV, but I think we must do the speaker justice, considering his immense background. Professor Mustafa Ceric lived through the Bosnian War of 1992, which ran through to 1995. Many of us will remember it. He was very instrumental also in the peace building and the efforts after the war, post the war. He's a co-recipient of the 2013 UNESCO Felix Hupert Boyne Peace Prize for contribution to world peace, and also won an award by the Christians and Jewish for exceptional contribution to interfaith understanding. He's currently the president of the World Bosniak Congress, and he is a presidential candidate for this year's general election in 2014, this year for Bosnia and Herzegovina. So he's running for the presidency in that country. Dr. Ceric is a member of several local and international scientific organizations and societies, very many, far too many to mention here. He's delivered numerous lectures and workshops on interfaith, interreligion, and as well as attended many local and international conferences and authored many books. He's, as you can see, truly a very, very unique world leader, and his perspectives on Islam in Europe and the modern world are not only influential, but timely, and I think you will all agree, very, very much needed in this day and age of war and conflict. In summary, Mufti Ceric is considered one of the most powerful scholarly voices in contemporary Islam in the world today, and it's my great pleasure and honor to welcome him to the stage for tonight's talk, which again is entitled Challenging Hate, Islam, Conflict and Peace Building. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you, Timothy, for this good introduction. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Salatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina wa Nabina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Dear sisters and brothers, Assalamu alaikum. And before I say my lecture, I would like to greet the people who were instrumental for this meeting of our lecture, and I guess they are not in theory of the Islamic or the human cooperation, but in practice. I'm very pleased to see here three organizations coming together in an effort to invite you and to make me feel good to meet you here. So Dr. Haji Muhammad Salim, acting president of Jamia Singapore, and Dr. Muhammad Nawab, who is president of Muslim Expatriate Network, and then Muhammad Nasir, who is doing this Simply Islam, and all others who participated and helped us for this evening. So thank you very much for this event. And I should also mention, before I start talking, that I am here by the grace of the government of Singapore. And I would like to thank the School for International Studies to initiate this meeting and my coming from Sarajevo to Singapore. This is not for the first time that I am in Singapore, but all time when I come to Singapore, I feel refreshed and feel that I belong to this community, because I like you the way you are presenting Islam, and you are trying to live Islam daily by your work, hard work. And I was very much impressed by these pictures and nursing and taking care of the elder. And you know this hadith that those who don't have the mercy, they don't have the understanding of the young, and the mercy for the elder, they don't belong to us. This is what Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. So if you want to know whether you are good or bad, you should test yourself how much you care about the young and how much you care about the elderly. You know, this woman that she said, I broken my leg and I couldn't pay for my healing it. And then she found a way by your effort together. So I would urge those who have minimum $5 to give it, to respond to this appeal, so that you become stronger and more and more and better example for the others in the Muslim world and Muslim communities all around the world, how we should help each other, but not only Muslims, all those who are in need. So we have to extend our hand to all those who are in need. This is what our religion tells us all about. So let me now come to this title, that challenging hate, Islam, conflict, and peace building. I don't know who was the initiator for this title, but I would commend him, because we are challenged today more than ever before by hate of each other in a global society in which we live. Now, how we are going to face this and how we are going to eradicate the hate from the hearts of people. Well, let me then start with saying that the humans are not machine. And because they are not machine, the humans are not fixable. And because they are not fixable, the humans are not predictable. And because they are not predictable, they are not instinctable. Now let me explain what I mean by this. First, that humans are not fixable. You cannot fix the human being like a machine. We are not dependent on the electricity, on the batteries of the usual fixing of your iPhone. We are independent from this kind of fixing. And those who want to fix the human minds, they fail because simply it is not fixable. And because no one can fix you, no one can predict how you are going to behave. So you are independent in your behavior, and what is in your mind, nobody knows. And no one can predict what you're going to do in the future, and no one can predict how you are going to respond to certain events that are around you. This is one. And then finally, you are not instinctable as a human being. What it means, we are the only living organism on this planet that has no instinct to know what is good or bad for us to eat. Because other living organisms in the world, the animals and other beings, they have the smell to know which food is bad for them and they would not eat, and which one is good and they would eat. We humans, because we don't have this instinct, and this is why we are not instinctable, we are endangering ourselves if we don't learn what is good for us to eat and what is bad for eat. This basically means that we, the humans, are dependent on their ability to learn. We humans have to learn everything in order to survive. If we don't learn, we cannot survive. So this is why we have it in the Quran that the first word of the revelation was not believe in God. It was Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. You should read and learn in the name of your Creator. So, all what we are, as we are born and grow up and being raised by our family, by our mother, by our fathers, and then we go to school, and then we go to the mosque, and then we go higher and higher in our education. Basically, what we are and who we are depends who teaches us from the very day that we are born. Because we are not by instinct good or bad. We are no good, no bad in the beginning. But then we are learn to be either good or bad, to be this way or other way. So, if you ask me now, whether we are capable, whether the hate and love is learnable, or whether the hate comes by itself, by instinct, or by learning, from this premise, you can understand that people, the humans, are learning how to hate, and they are learning how to love. So now, since we said that humans are not instinctable, they are without instinct, but there are certain things that we are born with, even if we don't know. One of the things that we are born with is what we call faith and what we call trust. Because you wouldn't be born if your parents had no trust that you are going to be born. You would not even walk when you are growing up if you don't trust your parents to keep you and to take care of you. So even if you don't know about the trust, you are in yourself trust ability, human being, because without the trust, there would not be life. And this trust that we call faith is common to all of us. How we know about it? Because we are told in the Quran that Adam and Eve were no alive, no dead. They were only a clay until God has put His Spirit in Adam's body. وَنَفَخَ فِيهِ مِنْ رُوحِهِ. And this is how we became human being, insan, who can feel, who can hate, who can love, who can learn, and who can know. This human being, with his ability to love and to hate, and his ability to have trust, which means to have faith, is the human being because of this God Spirit. So all human beings are equal in that they are inspired and they are human beings because of this injection of the God Spirit in their body that they live. Now, this Spirit of God that we are sharing all is the faith that is originally with all of us, and therefore we can say that no human being is without faith. No human being is without trust. But it depends what kind of faith and how this faith is colored. Depends how you go through your stages of development and learning. Now, because of this original ability to have faith and to have trust, we have to distinguish these three terms: faith, religion, and morality. Faith, as I said, is common to all of us. But religion, and then this is what we inherit by birth. We are born by faith. But religion is not inherited. It is learned from those who are around you. Your parents teach you about your religion. They tell you what is your religion. And then what is the most interesting, and this is what the thing that we have to focus on, is that the hate or love of others become present in our heart depending who is teaching us about our religion. If you have somebody who teaches you religion, telling you that in order to love your religion, you have to hate the other religion, and if he teaches you or she teaches you that in order for you to be a good religious person, you have to hate the other religious person or the other religion, because if you don't do this, then you have no feeling of being better than him. So in order for you to feel better than the others, you have to, somebody teaches you that your religion is the best. And because of that, the other religions are not. Not only that they are not the best, but they are your enemies, because if you don't believe that they are your enemies, then you are lacking your own religion. This kind of teaching that we have, that sometimes we hear, that sometimes we are faced with, this teaching does not belong to Islam. Islam did not come to teach us that in order to be a good Muslim, you have to hate the others who are not. And that is the key for our lecture, which will be at the end of my main message. But now, let me say about morality. What is morality? Akhlaq. This is the basic of human behavior. This is how we approach and how we behave, and this is morality that makes us in the society people recognizable by our own deeds, by our own words. The morality that that people talk very often, and are upset if they see something immoral has been done. This morality is attached to religion. So you would suppose that religious people are moral. But unfortunately, religious people are not necessarily moral. You have some people who go to mosque, who go to church, who go to religious sessions, but when they come on the street or when they are with the people, you can see that they are not behaving morally as religion teaches them. So the most important challenge, or the most difficult challenge for religious people, is to do what you say about your religion, to apply your belief in your practical life. This is the most challenging thing. So on the other hand, there are people probably who are not religious in the sense of belonging to a community, to a religion, because you have to distinguish between belonging and believing. There are some people who just belong to certain groups, but they don't care about beliefs. But there are people who don't belong to a certain community, but they have beliefs in beliefs in things that are making the life for them moral. So these three terms, faith, religion, and morality, you should keep all the time in your head, remembering that all of you friends that you have, all of those people that you meet, regardless whether they are of your religion or not, they have faith and they have trust. Recently, I found a book that is called Faith of the Faceless. So even those who claim that they have no face, they have the face of not having the face. So basically, they have the faith. So there is no human being without a face, without trust in others. So let me now move from this stage to the next, trying to explain to you 4 frameworks in which we should think and reflect how we are going to solve the problem of hate in terms of Islam, conflict, and peace building. Now, as Muslim community that is based on the Quran teachings and the practice of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which we call the Sunnah, we should reflect and see 4 characteristics of our action in the world. One is to ask, what are our strengths? What is our strength? What are our weaknesses? What are the opportunities there for us? And what are the threats that we should be aware of? So regarding our strength, I think, as Muslims, we can say to the whole world that we Muslims have a deep and sincere faith in Tawheed, in the belief on one God. I think that the strength of the Muslims' belief has been proven, especially in recent years, I would say, or decades, that the Muslims are most practicable people and taking care of their faith, probably in competing with others in good deeds. And many Muslims are becoming inspiration for other faith communities to follow their own religion, because the Muslims are very strong in their faith, in their iman, and especially young people. This strength that we have and intelligence that we are trying to show to others through the argumentation of why we believe in one God and why we are stick to Tawheed as a principle of our faith, monotheism, which we share with others, Christians, Jews, and others as well. Now, this strength of ours should not exceed and go to a kind of extreme that will, what other people find not acceptable. This strength we have to keep in our heart, in our mind, and keep the strength as we are communicating with others. What are our weaknesses? Our weaknesses are that somehow in spite of this unity that we have and tawheed that we practice, and despite the fact that we have Qibla, that we have one book, the Quran, that we have one Prophet Muhammad, the last Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, no dispute among the Muslims regarding these principles. Unfortunately, this does not make us unified on the global sense. And despite the fact that we have one day of Arafat, which cannot be 2 days, unfortunately we don't have the Eid al-Adha and Eid al-Fitr to be one day. We cannot even tell to our friends when is going to be the Eid al-Adha. We have to wait to hear tomorrow that the Eid is. So this, I think, the lack of this sensibility to organize our faith globally is one of our weaknesses. What are our opportunities? The opportunities that we are very often missing is that we don't know, and we are missing the communication with others with the strength that we have, because Islam is integrative religion. Prophet Muhammad, when came and he received the revelation, wahi from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he did not say, you know, the world starts with me, and all who were before me are wrong, and I am only the right. He didn't say, I am mujaddid. On the contrary, he said, أنا مصدق لما بين يدي من التوراة والإنجيل. I came to affirm what is in the Old Testament and in the New Testament, and this is the last testament of the Quran. So this opportunity for us to reach out others and to tell them that we share our faith, that we can live together, that we accept you. Not only this, we have 3 verses in the Quran in different contexts when it is said that those who believe in God, and the Jews and Christians and Sabaeans and others, if they believe in God and do good deeds, and they should not be afraid of before God in the hereafter. So you can see, this is religion. Islam is inclusive. Islam is not exclusive. Islam doesn't teach us that those who do not belong to our community, that they are determined to go to hell. God will determine who will go to the heaven and go to the hell. It is not guaranteed just because you belong to the Muslim community and doing nothing, that you are going to earn heaven just because you are born as a Muslim. So these things we have to learn and to know how to use the opportunity to reach out others and tell them and give them your hand and give them your smile so that they can accept you as you accept them. This is what we have the historical opportunity to do this. So what is the threat, or what are the threats that we are facing today? The most difficult and the most dangerous threat is the violence that is being done in the name of Islam. Islam is the religion of no force. And let me then explain, let me connect this one with my third part of my lecture, and that is to tell you, and you know very well, when the Prophet Muhammad was sallallahu alaihi wasallam sitting with his ashabs, and a man with the white clothes came to him with a big beard. He came to him, he sit close to him, and then he asked him 3 questions. He asked him, what is Iman? And the Prophet said, Iman is to believe in God, to believe in angel, in the books and in the prophets, and to believe in the day of judgment. Amantu billahi wa malaikatihi wa kutubihi wa rusulihi wal yawmil akhir wa bil qadri khayrihi wa sharrihi min Allah ta'ala. This is how we learn this when we are small children. And you believe that whatever happens in the world, it is by God's will. So these are 6 principles of Islam. Iman. And then he asking, what is Islam? Islam is that you proclaim Islam with shahada, and then you pray, you fast, you give zakat, and you go to Hajj. And then he was asked, what is ihsan? And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, ihsan is an tu'mina, an ta'bud Allah, an tu'mina billahi ka'annaka tarahu wa in lam tarahu fa innahu yarak. You to believe in God as if you see him, because if you don't see him, God sees you. So you have to, this is ihsan. Now, let me now explain these 3 concepts of Islam that is basically the whole philosophy of Islam. These 3 terms, simple, and this is what I like, simply Islam, or we can say simple Islam. Islam is the most simple religion and the easiest way to explain about Islam. Now, in order to understand and to appreciate this term Islam, I just want to remind you that other religions in the world have the name by the person or geography, or like, for example, Christianity, it is by Isa alayhi salam, as you know. Then Buddhism is according to the personality of Buddha. And then you have Judaism is about Judah, and so on. Now, in the case of Islam, it is not connected either to a person or to geography. The idea of Islam is connected with the concept. And the concept is made by the 2 letters, roots of the name of Islam, which is Sin, Lam, Mim. Those who learn Arabic, they know very well that each and every Arab word has roots and 3 letters in that roots. So this Sin, Lam, Mim means, basically, means salam, peace. So all other words that are derived from these roots are associated and connected with the idea of peace. So Islam means peace, or peaceful submission to God. We miss very often, even in the translation of the English, you don't have this word peaceful submission to God. You have only submission to God. But this peaceful submission to God is very important. You know why? Because if somebody is forced to become Muslim or to accept Islam by force, his Islam or her Islam is not acceptable. So in order to be a Muslim, in order to become, you have to do this by peacefully, voluntarily. Even if you go to pray, if that is not from your heart, if you are forcing yourself, or if you're forcing somebody else, your prayer is not acceptable. Because the submission to God must be peaceful in accordance to the meaning of Islam. So Islam is by its meaning, it is peace. Now, when we say a Muslim, it is this participle active from the verb aslama yuslimu Islam. What Muslim means, or what it means literally. Literally, Muslim means peaceful man. And if you want to explain to anyone what Muslim means, tell him Muslim means peaceful man. So when you say a Muslim, you know this, the one that said, don't be afraid, I am a Muslim. Because somehow, whether we are consciously or unconsciously, the idea of Muslim, if you mention a Muslim in media and somewhere, they immediately connect you with terrorist, which is the totally opposite of what the word Muslim means. It means peaceful man. Who is responsible to change, to make this conversion or to make this confusion about this very word of Muslim? I don't want to now to enter into this question, but what is important for us to know and to believe and to behave as such, that when you mention the name Muslim, that you be proud that you are peaceful woman, that you are peaceful man, that whatever they say, you should believe in yourself that you are peaceful human being because you belong to Islam. Now, let me explain what Iman means. The three letters, Alif, Mim, and Nun, what it means. And Mu'min, what it means. It means security. It means being self-confident. So when somebody says to you whether you have Iman, which means faith, he is asking you, are you secure? And what it implies if you are in security. If I am secure, if I am free, if I feel confident, that makes me to make others secure as well, who are with me and who want to share with me this life, this air, and everything. So to be a mu'min and to have faith means that you have security in yourself. Once you are confident, then you are also spreading this confidence to others who are around you, to your wife, to your husband, to your children, to your neighbor, to the people that you see on the street. So, the problem, and this is my experience from Bosnia, I want to share with you two things. One is that tolerance is a sign of strength. Intolerance is a sign of weaknesses. Once you are secure and confident in yourself and your faith, you have no reason to hate others. On the contrary, your confidence gives you the strength, and then you want to share that with others. And the difficulty that I believe we are facing now in the many Muslim communities and many Muslim regions is that we have some of our brothers and sisters who became insecure and became intolerant. And they want to compensate that by violence, which is the wrong way to do. And finally, ihsan. What it comes ihsan from? Ha, Sin, and Nun, which means basically beauty. Why ihsan, muhsin? We translate this like righteous man. But it should be translated handsome man or beautiful man. Muhsin means spreading the beauty. How? And why it is defined, this concept is defined that you should, ihsan is that you believe in God as if you see God, because if you don't see God, God sees you. So what is the message? What is the secret of this meaning? Which means that you have to show the beauty to other people. And then by doing this, you become muhsin. You become beautiful and you become righteous. Not because he wants, you expect him award. No. Because you know that your smile is sadaqah. When you walk on the street and you give a smile to a man, even the one that you don't know, this is the sadaqah for you, for your health. And God is telling us, you know, you have to be nice to other people, not because they will tell you thank you very much, but because God is pleased when you are good to other people. So with these three concepts that you have, Iman, Islam, and Ihsan, we have to face the world. And we have to challenge the hate. And we have to be the ones who will spread the love. You know why? Because love is the only thing that you have. The more you give it, the more you have it. You know, the other things you give and you don't have it. But the love is the things that the more you give to others, the more you have for yourself. So whenever you are hesitant whether to love others, remember always that you are not giving the love to them. You are giving to you, to yourself. The more you love others, the more you get benefit for yourself. And that, I believe, that the fourth item that we said, the threats. We are threatened by missing the real meaning of what Iman, Islam, and Ihsan are. And in order to be strong and to be united and to share the faith and to have right religion and to have morality, we have to increase our strength. We have to decrease our weaknesses. We have to take the good opportunities for us. And we have to avoid the threats that are over our heads. And the most dangerous threat that we have over our heads is hate. Because hate does not harm the one whom you hate. The hate is eating you. It is eating your heart and your mind and your stomach. And in order to be safe, and this is what the second thing I want to tell you, what I learned from life in Bosnia, and that is the law is not in the book. The law is in the heart. So you have to take care of your heart, what is there, so to be happy and to do right things. And remember also, don't seek happiness in people who don't appreciate your good deeds. If you do that, you will never be happy. But you seek your happiness in your goodness, and you will always be happy. Because your goodness will make you happy. And not those people that you expect to tell you, thank you very much. No, they will not do that. But if your goodness is high, you will be always happy. So let me just summarize. Remember, faith, religion, and morality. Remember your strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And remember that Islam means peace. That your faith is this peaceful submission to God. That Iman is the security and the confidence in what you are. And that Ihsan is spreading the love and beauty around the world. I am here in Singapore with you, feeling that your love now, and feeling your goodness, and feeling that we have achieved something that we should be proud of all of that, and that is that we did understand and that we will carry the message of peace wherever we are. So no hate but love, and no war but peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you very much, Sheikh Mustafa. It's a very, very fantastic speech. I've had the very great honor to visit Mufti's country back in 1975, and also when my late father passed away in 2004 in Dubrovnik. And I can honestly say it's the most beautiful country I've ever had the honor to visit. And you know, if you get a chance, please do go there. Very, very nice country and very beautiful people, the Balkans. We're now going to proceed to the Q&A. Now, at this time, we're going to start the fundraising for Gaza. And just simply, there's just going to be some donation boxes passed around the room at this time. And if we can just remember, you know, the situation there has been very critical. Although there is a ceasefire, of course, there's been a huge amount, a massive amount of destruction, a huge loss of life. It's very, very critical. They need the support very, very urgently. Every dollar will contribute to the welfare of the people. And this is really just our small part that we can do to help alleviate the suffering and tribulations of our fellow humans and Muslim brothers and sisters at this moment. I know there's been a lot of collections lately, especially in the Syrian causes, and it must be very draining on the community. But even just a little bit will help, inshallah, as our part of our ibadah. So we're now going to go to the Q&A, and just a short introduction to our moderator for the day. It's Dr. Mohammed Nawab. As you know, he's the president of MEX, Muslim Expatriate Network, and he also sits on the board of Jamia. In his professional life, he's the assistant professor coordinator of the Malaysian program for IDSS with the Contemporary Islam program at the Rajaratnam School of International Studies at Nanyang Technological University, that's in Singapore, NTU. He holds a Bachelor of Arts degree with honors in political science and history, as well as a Master of Arts in history from NUS, the National University of Singapore. He also holds a PhD in political science and internal relations from the Australian National University. So if I can hand over to Dr. Nawab to do the moderation. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you, Brother Tim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's a great honor for me to be seated next to one of the icons that I've always looked up to, one of my teachers, and I think we agree one of the greatest scholars as well as mind that we have in the Muslim world today. Now, I'm not going to take too much time because we have approximately about 40 minutes for question and answer. So what I'm going to do is, this is a public session. I think the media is here. So if you don't want to identify yourself, feel free to SMS your question. The number, I think, is screened on the board here. And what I'm going to do as well is, if you wish to identify yourself, please go. Our volunteers are around. They will pass the mics around. And we're going to collect about 3 questions for each round, so as to allow for more questions to be posed. So if I may open the floor to the first question, please. Yes, ma'am.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you so much, Sheikh Mustafa, on that very illuminated talk. I think my biggest takeaway was the fact that a Muslim is a peaceful man. Earlier in your talk, you alluded to, or you tried to show a little bit about or you were going to have a little bit of a preamble of how Bosnia was, and because this is such a rare opportunity for us to hear from somebody from there, if you could elaborate or give more concrete examples of how the people of Bosnia conducted themselves and tried to build peace, that would be really helpful. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we'll just collect. Perhaps one more question.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Mariam and I'm an educator. So children are very close to my heart. And I would like to ask Sheikh if you could actually share with us, because from your listening to you, I also get the insight that part of a key important part to protect our heart is the role of adab. And somehow I feel that perhaps maybe that is one part of our religious teaching that perhaps we need to emphasize more. So if you can share with us maybe simple things that in terms of adab that we can stress, especially to ourselves and our children as part of daily practice.
If I may just read out a question here, which I think is related to the first question that was posed. This question asks, what is the real daily jihad for Muslims living in a multi-religious country like Singapore? Perhaps we can get Sheikh to reply to some of these questions and before we go on to the next round.
Okay, should I go? Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that women are more active than men. And congratulations, thank you very much. Now, we can talk until Fajr about Bosnia. I think you should go and take rest. But allow me to read on you, because we have this emergency fund for Gaza. Allow me to read you a poem that was written in Sarajevo on seeing a Palestinian boy staring at a wall and a bandaged donkey in Gaza on CNN in the early hours at Sarajevo in August 2014. One wrote this poem, and I think that this is going to explain very much about Sarajevo and Bosnia. So let me read. The wall in front of you, the wall behind you, the wall is all this world has for you. But in your heart, don't let it grow. Young boy in Palestine, don't turn away from the world that has turned away from you. Allow the world to feel ashamed, looking you in the eye of a boy without boyhood. Ask whose hand, ignoring death, whose steady hand put the bandage on your donkey's leg. Ask for you see father facing the wall, which hand will lead the world, the one that pulled the trigger or that which healed your wounded donkey. Turn around, show the face of a boy that never was, help the world that has not helped you. For the sake of brave people from afar, sharing with you death and honor, in the name of the children in Nigeria, Syria, Mexico, Iraq, abducted children in Australia, dead children on the bottom of Mediterranean, children still alive, in the minds of sweatshops, children on the borders and wires, waiting for a raindrop in deserts, children in the Philippines, Somalia, Palestine, and Bosnia, children in the slums, sleepless and dreamless. For the sake of all those unafraid of your memories, of wells and clear water, of uncut alive tears, trees, last seen in your grandfather's eyes when he talked of home, the memories unscattered by bullets and bared wires. For the sake of children in Israel who bear no guilt, turn around, young boy in Palestine, save this world, help it be ashamed, my dear friend. This has been written by the former foreign minister of Bosnia and Herzegovina, Haris Sileđić, in Sarajevo, August 2014. Probably I am not very good reader, but I just wanted to share with you what we in Sarajevo think these days, like you are here. So I hope you got it all. I don't need to say anything more. Now, let me go back to adab. Since I belong to Professor Najib Al-Attas at ISTAC, and I like his teachings, and I was teaching at ISTAC together with him. And since he is emphasizing in all his writings and books about adab, I agree with him 100%. We need to learn and to teach our children a lot of adab. So the adab, how to, and basically, you know, adab in Arabic means literature, or so you should read. Could you be honest with me and raise the hand? Who has read the whole book recently, from one cover to another? Any book? Yeah, okay, 2, 4, 5, okay, thank you. We don't read books anymore. We have Facebook, we have Twitter, we have internet, and then we don't need books, you know, to read. And I don't want to ask you who read recently a novel that is, you know, because we have films, we have movies, we have all this. I believe that we have to go back to the books and we have to read adab, which is literature, and nice literature. But unfortunately, even today you have the books fictions, you know, they like people to go to sky and just wandering around. And then, unfortunately, we have movies and books that are spreading violence. The more you are, you know, cruel and you know, showing to people how to be a hero by endangering others and fighting all the time. So you have to be, you have to choose right books then, not to read all books that are available. And who is going to tell to our teenagers what books are good and what are right? But indeed, I think ala bi zikrillahi tatma'innul qulub. We have to learn how to repeat in the name of God, of Allah, and make zikr in order to soften our heart and to make our heart loving others. Because through zikr of and mentioning of name of Allah, our heart becomes softer and nicer to others. Because we, by mentioning the name of God, we become closer to Him, to God, and by being closer to God, we become closer to humans. Now, everyone has the relationship to God. No one can be disconnected. But it is a question whether you are close to or far. And then that's the question. There are people who are far away, and there are those who are close. Those who are remembering God in their hearts by mentioning His name are becoming close to Him. And I think we need our inner security to be stronger. And we need peace of mind, and we need peace of heart. To achieve that, I think we need adab, and that's the key. So hopefully uh, our hearts, at least this night, with this gathering, are becoming together and spreading the love to each other. So, and finally, your question? No question. You
I
didn't
think
have.
you sum up.
Good. Okay. You have a.
Sorry, if I may just read, I think I was getting a bit confused as to, because I had like 30 or 40 different SMSs, so I'll give priority to people who are going to ask questions, in person. But a number of questions have been asked about how do you essentially build peace in conflictual situations like in Gaza and Syria, and how do Muslims react essentially to violence perpetrated in such conflicts. So that's the first question, and I think I sum up, there are at least 10 questions related to this, so if you could address this. And somebody had a hand up? Yes, sir.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Professor Sheikh Mustafa Ceric, thank you very much for coming here and giving up this lecture. What I'm going to ask you is, Islam is a religion of peace and love. And what's happening in the Middle East at the moment is damaging the image of Islam. How can we take out the hatred by which they are, how can we take out the hatred and put in love in their hearts? Because they are forcefully and through terror converting non-Muslims. How can we put love into their heart and change them to be a better Muslim?
Perhaps one more, we can just collect one more question. Yes. I think the man felt a bit of pressure to ask questions. So.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sheikh Professor Mustafa, thank you for your enlightening speech. I have one question only related to just now that gentleman, especially now the issue of Middle East, like the Shia and the Sunni, and each claim they are better than another one. And just now you have said that Islam means peaceful. So maybe I just want to seek your opinion in this matter. Thank you very much.
Two very hard questions. But let me then give you my answer as a Mufti at large. I am not now Mufti of Bosnia, but I would say freelance Mufti, because they have freelance journalists. Now I can claim that I am freelance Mufti. Now you can trust me or not, or you can take my, this is not fatwa, I am not eligible now to give fatwas. But I will give you my sincere thought and advice, if I may say. You know, they say that everything what is happening is by God's decree. This is qada and qadar. You know that? And once God has decided something, it is finished, final. And everyone would like to know what is his or her qada and qadar. But I am not sure that you would like everything to know what tomorrow have for you. Sometimes it's good to have surprises, but good ones, good surprises. But it is said that dua, prayer, is the only way that sometimes you can change the qada and qadar. So when you make sincere prayer, God's mercy can can change things in your favor according to your dua. But you never know when your dua is accepted. So you have to have so many duas and expecting and hoping that only one will be accepted. If only one dua, sincere dua is accepted for you, then you are winner. But because we don't know which one is accepted, we have to make all the time our dua. So, if I want to say now what I see in the confusion of what is happening in the Middle East, I don't want to mention any country now in particular, but we can say in the Middle East, in the heart of the Muslim land. We are now hearing noises, and we also hear some signals. The problem is that we are not able to distinguish the signals from the noises, a lot of noises. In this kind of atmosphere and this situation, I would recommend to you to make dua for the peace in the Middle East. So probably one of your dua will change the situation and will change the hearts of those people who are killing each other. So if I am in the position, and I am now the Mufti at large, then I am sending appeal to the whole Muslim world, and especially to the imams and the khatibs, that they make every Friday, every night, every after Maghrib prayer, Fajr pray, that they make public dua for peace among the Muslims in Iraq, Syria, Yemen, Libya, Egypt, and all over the Muslim world. But this is what we can do, and this is what we should do. We should pray. We should make dua. We should ask God sincerely, from bottom of our heart. May God give them the light. May God give them the guidance. May God give them the strength to reach each other and to make peace among each other. May God stop the violence and killing and bloodshed of these children in Gaza and Palestine and Syria and all over. May God make the Holy Land not the place for the holy war, but for the holy peace. May God make the minds of the people, instead of thinking of the art of war, to think about the art of peace. This is what we need to learn. You know, there is a book that is called The Art of War. Did you find any book called The Art of Peace? So somebody has to write the book, The Art of Peace, the art of faith, the art of tolerance. And to answer your question and to get you involved in what is happening over there, I recommend to you tonight, before you go to sleep, just make a small dua and prayer, and say simply in your language, whatever language, God understands all languages. Almighty, oh my God, I ask you from my heart to make peace, to help these people to make peace in the Middle East. This is what we can do. And it doesn't cost you. but it can help our brothers and sisters there who are suffering because of this conflict, that we don't know exactly why it is there and how we are going to get out from this mess that we are in. And then the question, what is jihad here, as you ask in Singapore? This is exactly, your best jihad is to make sincere dua for our brothers there, to stop violence, and those who are misguided to go straight to the right path and see that by killing they are not going to achieve anything. Islam is religion of peace. It is not religion of war.
Any questions? Yes. The ladies can ask questions too, so we haven't exhausted the ladies' quota. So.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Sheikh, Eminent Sheikh, thank you for sharing your formula and advice on how we could face the challenge of hate. Sheikh, most conflicts, if we observe, is due to looking and living in the past. Whilst the future promises a lot more, as Allah is most gracious and full of reward. The other aspect that I wish to seek your clarification is that, and your advice is that the failure to uphold the spirit of forgiving. And with these two hindrances, how could we surmount the challenge of hate? Thank you.
Any other questions from the floor? If not, if I may just read this question, a number of questions again were posed about this. As a Muslim, how do we explain to the non-Muslims and our children and teenagers about what ISIS, or what they call themselves now, Islamic State, is doing in terms of violence, and how and why this is not in accordance with the teachings of Islam? The second, I think, which is actually a very important question that is posed, how do we, and this is something that I think that affects Muslims in this part of the world, how do we bridge this Sunni-Shiite divide that we're beginning to see in many parts of Southeast Asia today? The Shiites are marginalized, and in some cases violently. How do we deal with this challenge?
They say that the devil is in the detail. It is not in generals, right? And now you are pushing me into the detail. Where is the devil? So it's very difficult. It's called shaitan. Devil is called shaitan. Now, regarding Shia-Sunni relationship, and also the emergence of ISIS and all other things, we can, and also your remark that we are living in the past, we can analyze this for hours. We can find reasons, and we can observe so many mistakes that has been done, and also many other theories that we read every day. Some say this and some say that and so on. But what I see here is I see two things. I see the negligence of the issues of the global Muslim community in general. Negligence of those who had the duty and task to organize Muslim communities in the sense of social justice and give the purpose to the Muslims all around the world. This is one. And the second is that I see the lack of the will of those who are in power to face these difficulties sincerely and honestly and justly. What ISIS is doing now and how we are going to explain to our children, it's very easy. Those who kill one person, innocent person, is as he has killed the whole humanity. This is the principle. من قتل نفسا بغير نفس فكأنما قتل الناس جميعا. The one who kills innocent human being, whoever he is, it is as he has killed the whole humanity. ومن أحياها فكأنما أحيا الناس جميعا. And those who give the life to a human being, it is as if he has given to the whole. You know, this is when Qabil, Abel killed Cain, well, Cain killed Abel when Qabil killed Habil. This is in the Bible and in the Quran. So you tell your children that if you see somebody that is killing somebody, an innocent person, and claiming that he is doing that in the Islam, he is not Muslim. Very simple. I think we should not hesitate to say that. Violence or killing and bloodshed for whatever. I like this what Mahatma Gandhi said. I'm ready to sacrifice my life for my cause, but I am not ready to kill anyone for my goal. So this saying, I think, or probably is not correct totally, but this is paraphrasing what he said. This idea of we have as Muslims, and this is why I admire, this is why I accepted to come to Singapore, but because I see in your eyes and your community here, and you should keep your harmony here, harmonizing your race and faith and other relationship. And I commend your government to helping you to do this, through giving you this opportunity to have so many organizations that can gather. Whether we can do, you can do more, or whether, of course, always you can do more. And I think this part of the world, Southeast Asia, is very important. And therefore, what you are doing here, it can be a good example for others. You know, this I have in mind Indonesia, and I'm very glad that His Excellency Ambassador of Indonesia is with us, and I hope he will say salam to Jakarta. We love Jakarta. You know, we have the mosque in Sarajevo. It's called Istiqlal. It is built by the Jakarta people, by Indonesia. Please give him a clap. He's ambassador. And I think we have something common here. We are all Ajam. We have the Arabs and the Arab and Ajam. Ajam means non-Arab Muslims. We are non-Arab Muslims. We like our brother Arabs. You know, the Prophet is Arabi and so on and so on. But we are proud of belonging to Islam, not by race or by your nation. We are belonging to Islam because we believe in the concept of peace. And we believe in the concept of security, Iman. And we believe in the concept of beauty, being beautiful, nice. And this is why we are Muslims. So I think you here, you in Southeast Asia, you have a great role to play to the Ummah today. You are the largest Muslim community compared to all others. You are bigger in number than altogether the Arabs, Turks, and Persians, who are the core of the Islamic civilization, as you know. And I hope that these three, the Arabs, Turks, and Persians, will come together and forget their differences about Shia and Sunni. And by the way, the Sunni and Shia, they pray together in Mecca and Medina in Haram, right? They have no difficulty to do so. I don't know, when they are out of the Haram, they have the difficulty. But they are together in Haram, right? They don't bother each other, and they pray with the same Qibla, they read the Quran, and some of them, when they are out of Haram, they have the difficulty. And when Muslims are in the mosque, they are all in one saf, you know, one row. Once they are out of the mosque, you cannot find them, even to drink coffee with each other sometimes. I don't know what is happening. When we are in the mosque, everything is okay, quiet, and we have a khatib, and then we have to listen to him half an hour, whether we appreciate or not. But then he is the master of your patience there in the mosque. And I hope that this is going to continue. So, let me say, we are going through a difficult time, and please make dua that God gives those who are violent among us to give up on the violence and come back to the peace, and understand that Islam was not spread by the force, by the sword, but it was spread by peace. And you are the proof of that here in the Southeast Asia. So probably we should invite them to come, but not to stay here, but to go back, but to come here to learn how to be peaceful. So I hope one day this will happen, inshallah.
Okay, we can afford perhaps one more round of questions. So any burning questions, perhaps, from the floor? Yes, brother, yep.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Sheikh Izul, and my question is if you were to meet an atheist on the street and then he asks you to explain Islam without using the Quran and the Hadith, what will your answer be to him?
Okay, any other question? If not, I'm going to read this one. I think it's interesting. I know Muslims are supposed to value peace, but what about legitimate resistance? Some people argue violence is never allowed, but what about the Prophet's military campaigns? How do we distinguish between legitimate and non-legitimate resistance?
Let me... how to talk to atheists, you said, without claiming the Quran and Hadith, right? Well, let me tell you, there is something, a method of becoming friend to a non-Muslim. It is called istimale. Mala yamilu mailun. Those who know Arabic, they know that this verb means inclination, to incline to somewhere. So istimale, this is Arabic word, the 8th form of the Arabic word, means seeking somebody to become closer to you. So if you want to explain Islam, the one who met you, please don't tell him all the things that you know about the hell and all this punishment, and like some people do, I think. I think you try to become friend with him, I mean, and to try to not to cover yourself by claiming I am a Muslim, so you have to accept me because I am Muslim. Well, he should know you first as a human being, and then let him alone see what you do is right, and then he will see, and then he will ask you, okay, what is your religion? And don't tell him even, okay, don't worry, I will tell you later. Until he sees many things good for you, from you, and he becomes, he likes you because of your deeds, and not of your claim that you are Muslim. And this is why I think the moment that we come to the position or to the stage that we don't need to tell people, you know, by your high voice, you know, I am a Muslim. Okay, I can see that you are Muslim, but the people should recognize your work, and then because there are some people who are using or misusing the name of Islam and Muslim before they show the goodness of Islam and Muslim. And instead of defending Islam by their deeds, they are defending themselves by using Islam and the beauty of Islam. So those who say that they are defending Islam, I'm skeptical about them, because they are not defending Islam, they are defending themselves by Islam, using Islam as a cover for what they want to do. That's, I think you have to be smart and recognize, but if you are in the position to introduce your faith, if that is your intention, do it by stages. And the first stage is not to tell the person that you are Muslim, but show him a goodness. Show him and let him love you. Let him become friend of you because of your goodness, not because you claim that you are Muslim. Let him conclude himself that you are Muslim. As to the question of which one? Legitimate resistance. You see, let me tell you something. I hope you will understand. لِلْعَاقِلِ يَكْفِي إِشَارَةٌ. You know this saying. To a smart man, it is enough to give a signal. You don't need to explain him everything, right? So I don't need to explain to you all this, because I'm not military man. I am not general. I am, you know, the mufti, if you like. So all my life I was preaching and teaching and so on. But I would like to give you 3 comparisons I hope you will understand. You know what is the difference between politician, journalist, and journalist, and the priest? They say that the politicians don't know how to tell the truth. Because I'm entering politics. I wish you can vote for me in the next election. But forget about this. And the journalist, the priest, doesn't know how to tell the lie. This is in theory. And the journalist, they don't know how to make the difference between the two. Okay. Now, since I brought all these people into the picture, and the politicians and the journalists and priests and so on, and then let me tell you, I hope you will understand what I mean by the legitimate and so-called just war. Do you believe in just war? I do not believe in just war. I believe in just peace. So instead of talking about the just war, and this is a religious, you know that the theologians wrote so many books about just war. And I believe in just peace. When you have just peace, you don't need just war. But religion is politics is too important to be left only to the politicians. Remember that. Politics is too important to be left to the politicians alone. We all have to be involved in the policy making to make our societies working. This is what we call democracy. And religion is too precious to be left to the theologians alone. So we have to learn and not to be totally dependent on those who are manipulating with religion. And the manipulation by religious symbols and religious rhetoric is the easiest way to possess people and to poison their minds. This is why I believe that the politicians and religious men, theologians, are the most responsible people for this peace and security in 21st century. The politicians are responsible for the welfare of the people, and the theologians are responsible for the minds of man, because they are shaping the minds of human beings, right or wrong, and they are responsible for that in the name of God. And the third thing that I would like you to know, that the war is too dangerous to be left to the generals alone. So we have to know also what the generals are doing. And they are not to be left alone to decide about the issue of war or peace. So when we come to the question of the Prophet Muhammad and how he dealt in his time, and especially in Medina, we know very well that the Muslims in Medina were on defense. The first Badr and then Uhud and then other things that followed, you know this. But do not forget that the Prophet, when he wanted to visit Mecca on Kaaba and perform the Hajj, and he came to the Hudaybiyah, as you remember, and when he was faced and said by the mushriks at the time, you cannot enter your city, Mecca, you go back to Medina. And what the Prophet didn't say to his comrades, come and fight them. On the contrary, he invited this Suhail and then made this Hudaybiyah agreement. And then when he wrote, remember that, Muhammad Rasulullah, and Suhail said, please wipe out this, because if I recognized you as a prophet, I would not fight, because I do not recognize you as a prophet. Write just Muhammad, the son of Abdullah. And then when Prophet accepted this condition, you know, these very emotional people stood up and say, we will cut his head because of that. But Prophet Muhammad said to them, sit down, and we will do this way. And what Prophet Muhammad did, he came back to Medina and waited for 1 year. And after a year, he entered Mecca. And then he found there those who were fighting Muslims in Badr and Uhud walking on the streets. And then Umar and radiallahu anhu and others, they went to the Prophet Muhammad and said to him, you know, we see these people are walking on the street. They you know, get us out from our city. They fought with us. And, you know, we cannot afford seeing them. We want to punish them. You know what Prophet Muhammad said? This is in the Quran. وَتَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْبِرِّ وَالتَّقْوَى وَلَا تَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْإِثْمِ وَالْعُدْوَانِ. This is the famous, you should cooperate with goodness with them rather than just take revenge against them for the evil that will become even greater. And then from this particular verse, the Muslim lawyers later on, fuqaha, they have drawn the conclusion when they say that to punish one innocent man is worth than to have 100 people unpunishable for their crimes. You know, you see, can you understand that? If you are in doubt to punish somebody and you have no proofs that he is wrong, to punish him as an innocent is more sinful than to let 100 people go and walk unpunishable because if there is something wrong. Of course, you have to see, you have to go after them. But you have to be careful not to punish innocent. This is the point, what I wanted to say. But not only this, you remember this, you watched this film about the Prophet Muhammad, this Risala, it's called Risala. When you remember at Uhud battle, when this Wahsh from Ethiopia, that was hired by Hind, the wife of Sufyan, to kill Hamza. And that he did not kill him only. He took his kidney and to punish him as a dead man. This Wahsh, when the Prophet came to Mecca, he was still alive over there. Then he sent somebody to ask him to convert to Islam. And then he said, no, I don't want. He said, tell him that I forgive him for what he has done to my uncle Hamza. And let him accept Islam. But he said, no, I don't want. And on that occasion, you have the verse in the Quran, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ أَسْرَفُوا عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ لَا تَقْنَطُوا بِرَحْمَةِ اللَّهِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَغْفِرُ الذُّنُوبَ جَمِيعًا. It is in the Quran. Tell to those who exceeded more than anybody else against themselves, tell them that they should not lose the hope, because God is merciful and He may forgive all the sins. So I just want to tell you the other side of what the Muslims should know, I think. But why we have the last century almost, the emphasis on this, on the other side of Islam, on the side of Islam that is, how you say, fighting and showing that this bitterness and believing that, you know, we have to engage in all this kind of fightfulness of to achieve our goals, purpose of life, and so on and so on. Well, I have explained my explanation for that. It is true that last 2 centuries Muslims are living in a big confusion because they have lost their place in the history. Before 2 centuries, basically, the Muslims were ruling the history, were active participant in the historical events and the courts and so on. But unfortunately, when with the collapse of the, you know, Baghdad and, you know, devastating of, you know, Baghdad was destroyed almost, it was leveled by the earth, by the Mongols. All this heritage that the Muslims had and all this, and not to talk about, you know, other things that happened. So the Muslims lost the role in history. They became on the margin of history. And their being on the margin of history, not being the subject of history, but the objects of history, made them nervous, made them, I would say, frustrated in many ways, and many attempts to get on the feet and to get into the main course of history has failed in many times. So this failure of coming back to the mainstream of history made Muslims, in a way, angry in one way or another. I believe that we, after this experience of 2 centuries, we have the chance to come back to the mainstream of history, but not in the way of violence, but in the way of contesting and competing in good deeds with others, and especially competing with the minds. I think the Muslims, when you go around the world, you will find the best doctors, best dentists in the West, in the United States, who are Muslims. Why Muslims? Why the Muslims cannot organize their own society when they are majority? Why they cannot talk to each other and become? We need good managers. We need good sociologists who can explain to us the organization of the society. We have so many things good, but one thing we are lacking. We are lacking the sense of organizing community and the state. We have difficulty to do this. Now, I can elaborate you probably for hours to tell you why I think we came to this position. But I have a big trust in the young people, young men. Unfortunately, I believe that we should have better teachers. We have somehow teachers that are not educated within the environment of today's global world. We have either teachers who have the isolated knowledge of their own tradition, not reaching to the others, or we have the teachers who have only education from non-Islamic traditions and don't know how to talk with the Muslims who are expecting for them to teach them about Islam. I think the biggest task that we have today is to make integration of knowledge, of all knowledge that is available, as our predecessors did. Who saved the roots of the Western civilization? Muslims saved in Baghdad. You know how? Who translated the Greek text into Arabic? Not Muslims, the Greeks and others who knew the languages. But what is the role of Muslims? The Muslims were organizers of that. Baytul Hikmah. You know why America is great today? Because it allows the great minds to come and to work at the Harvard and all this. This is what Baghdad used to do, inviting all the minds around the world. You know that this Khalifa in Andalus, he was giving the gold, the weight of the writer of the gold to write a book that he needed, not because not because this book is worth of that gold, but he wanted to show respect and appreciation to the knowledge. And then when Muslims come to realize that the world is based on, and the coming back to the mainstream of history is by knowledge, by contribution to the humanity as such, to innovations, and to making it easier to others to understand, to know, to make iPhone. You know, this iPhone. Do you know how did we live without this iPhone before? I don't know. But I know that I cannot live now without this one. Okay? So when we are capable to do, and then everyone will appreciate us. And everyone will say, okay, not to say we will convert the whole world, but I think we feel that somehow we are not appreciated. But our claim that we have contributed in the past, I mean, we have to stop talking about this. because even that we don't know how to say it in a right way. What matters is what you're contributing today. And then once you are contributing today, people will tell you themselves what you have done in the past. Unfortunately, we have only the claim that we had the great history in the past. So we Muslims live in the past, and we think that we belong to the past, but the West, if I may say, belong to the future. And they don't care about what happened, but they care what will happen. So we have to learn too how to think what will happen tomorrow instead of thinking what happened yesterday. So there are three kinds of people: those who remember, those who think, and those who dream. Those who remember are majority of the humankind. All of us think what happened yesterday. Those who think for today are the less than those who remember. And those who dream of the future, the least in number. So, but I hope that the least has been increased tonight. So please, have a dream for your better tomorrow, inshallah. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sheikh. I think I was just about to ask the audience to join me in thanking Professor Mustafa Ceric. I believe that his words of wisdom have been very useful in terms of us trying to formulate some of the strategies in terms of moving forward as a community within this very complex world today. If I may now turn the session to.
We're just coming to the end of this evening. Thank you very much again to our speaker tonight, Mufti Ceric, for I think a very, very wonderful and engaging lecture, and also a very, very interesting Q&A. Thank you also to our moderator, Nawab, Dr. Osman. We just got quite a few announcements actually, which may take a little while, having three organizations to announce for. So what we'll do is we'll just start with Simply Islam's announcements. On the way out, we'd just like to draw your attention. We've got set up a bazaar at the back of the hall. There's numerous things there. I'll just have a look at the list. We've got, there's quite a few household electrical items, premium quality Singapore signature line. Sorry, Mustafa. Sorry, Mufti. Excuse me. Sorry, would you like to stay on the stage first? There will be the closing door. Yeah. So yeah, you can just take your time to go out and have a look at some of the bazaar items full of barakah, the barakah bazaar. There's also books, other Islamic paraphernalia, and part of the proceeds of those things will go to the Gaza effort tonight as well, so the Gaza Fund. So that's the first one. Okay, the second item we've got, just a reminder on Simply Islam's courses. You can see some coming up on the screen. Do visit their website, check out the latest happenings. In particular, they've got their normal conversational Arabic courses, Arabic language lessons, the English madrasa for children, and the Al Husna Certificate in Islamic Studies program is actually coming up again. This will be the second one with Sheikh Ahmad Saad. For those who want to know a little bit about it, you've been given a set of documents on the way in. I've actually attended one of the modules on the first Al Husna, and I can say it's a very, very, it's very full. It's a very, very structured course, and very streamlined, and it's a very worthy investment. It runs for about 6 months, starting mid-October, and you'll find it a very power-packed course with several different modules. There's a lot of content, basically. Sheikh Ahmad Saad, he's a young scholar. He's got a huge amount of knowledge, and I think it's very good, especially for the younger students, to get a lot of structured knowledge from that. So that's running from mid-October to mid-May. The course price is about $1,200. So you can find out more from the program, and I think that the online registration is starting soon. So many bits of paper. So the third one, okay. I think that's all for Simply Islam on the messages for tonight. We've also got an announcement from MEX, and it's in regards to their mentorship program. So I'll just tell you a little bit about it. Again, this is from the Muslim expat community. So one of several ways that MEX gives back is actually through the mentorship program, and it's a very simple program. It's basically designed for tertiary students, polytechnic or university, and the idea is for professional people amongst us to mentor these students on a one-to-one basis, and people from different industries. It could be from the finance industry, it could be from the legal profession, anything like that. And it's a small way that we can make a difference. So if anybody wants to be a mentor, there's a training provided. You're looking at probably giving up 1 hour a month to help these students. It's a very, very good way to give back. If you want to find out more, there's several of us from MEX here tonight. Ibu Aini on the front line here in the red hijab, easy to identify. Of course, Dr. Nawab, myself, we have Mohammed Khan and Mr. Firoz. Okay, Mohammed Khan's at the back and Firoz. And of course, Irshad as well. So you can get information from one of us, and in particular, we're looking for marketing or HR people with a background in marketing or HR to be mentors. And any students, tertiary students, you may also apply for mentoring as well. Okay, I think that's on the announcements for the two organizations. Okay, lastly for Jamia, they would like to announce a Korban project. This is for Korban in Singapore, which Jamia is doing independently. They've got two things on offer. One is a sheep, not just one sheep, there'll be plenty of sheep, hopefully, from Australia. The price will be in Australian dollars, $499 for a sheep to be slaughtered in Singapore. So a very good way to do your, how much, sorry? Oh, sorry, Singapore dollars. Yeah, it's an Australian sheep, but the price is in Singapore dollars. They also have lambs from Ireland, priced at $575, a bit more expensive. So if you want information on the Korban with Jamia, you can see them at the back. Information is on the screen. You can visit their website, as well as Simply Islam's courses and MEX courses. Do visit their websites by Googling the respective organizations. Very, very lastly, but certainly not least, the last and final reminder on the Gaza Fund. Tonight was a special night to raise funds for Gaza. Thank you always, for the most generous, very, very generous contributions, from the Islamic community for all of these fundraising activities. I think this is a room full of very, very hopeful people. I recognize a lot of people, very positive people, and I think from what Mufti has said today, he's also given us a lot more hope that a conflict resolution can be achieved in the Middle East. And I think this is, I really do say with all my heart, Ameen, to all of his du'as that we can find a peaceful settlement to all of these very horrendous conflicts that we're seeing. I think the best thing we can do is just to heed his advice to keep making dua. In the meantime, we can, if you're not going to spend money at the bazaar, feel free to leave some in the donation boxes at the back. I think that's all for tonight, and really wish everyone a very, very happy evening, and thank you very much for the attendance and coming to attend this evening's event. We just want to close. If we can invite Mufti back to the stage, please. He has made several nice du'as, and Mufti, if you could just make a dua for the audience, and of course for all our brothers and sisters in humanity again, who are suffering in these very difficult conflicts. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Good. Could you take your أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين اللهم إنا نسألك من النعمة تمامها ومن العصمة دمامها ومن العيش أرغده ومن العمر أسعده ومن الإحسان يتمه ومن الإنعام عمه. اللهم كن لنا ولا تكن علينا. اللهم أختم بالسعادة آجالنا وحقق بالزيادة آمالنا. اللهم اسبب سجال عفوك على ذنوبنا. اللهم خفف عنا ثقل الأوزار وارزقنا عيشة الأبرار واكفنا واصرف عنا شر الأشرار. Almighty God, give us your blessings, increase the ni'mah of life. Connect us in the morning and in the night with good hopes. Our God, make easier for us this life. Show us the light so that we can walk here in your satisfaction. Almighty God, we are gathered here to remember those who are in need, to help them, those who are in fear, to free them from the fear. We are gathered here to learn how to love each other and not to hate each other. So, Almighty God, we ask you to strengthen our will to spread the peace around the world. We ask you, God, Almighty God, to give the release and to make peace all around the world, and especially the peace in the Holy Land, the peace in Iraq, in Yemen, in Libya, in Syria, in all these places where the bloodshed is, and give them the guidance, soften their hearts so that they can see goodness in each other. Almighty God, we ask you to guide us to the right path, to give the purpose to our children, to save our children for all the temptation that they are in, and to give them the guidance that they need. Almighty God, we believe in your mercy. We believe that you see us, and we believe that you are the light of the earth and the heaven. So give us of this light so that we know also how to walk and how to talk and how to love each other. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. سبحان ربك رب العزة ما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. That's all for tonight, and we look forward to see you at the next event. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.